All right, guys, we haven't spoken to this next guest for a while. You know him from being one half of one of the most iconic gyms in MMA with fighters such as Carlos Condit, Jon Jones, Holly Holm, and many more. It is a pleasure to welcome Coach Mike Winkeljohn back to Submission Radio. Mike, it's been a while. Thank you for coming back on, man. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm living the dream. How are you guys down there?
Good, man. Good. And I'll tell you, we're very, very happy to have you on video. Coach, I was going to say, I think you might have your thumb over the camera there a little bit, just to let, yeah, there you go. A little bit more off. Yeah, there it is. Now, we don't have much time with you, so we want to get straight into it. In the MMA world, a big debate going on right now. Who's the GOAT? Who's the best? And we wanted to start this interview off with Coach Wink's pound-for-pound list. What does it look like?
Well, it depends if you're talking active pound to pound or just pound for pound. I mean, pound for pound is Jon Jones. There's no doubt about it. The fact that he kind of is what I say, semi-retired, then I'm good with it going with Khabib. You know, he's done some great things for the sport. But when Jon comes back, he'll be back at the pound for pound number one.
Just to clarify, who did you say was semi-retired, Jon or Khabib?
Oh, actually both, huh? Well, Jon Jones, I apologize. I shouldn't say with Khabib, I think he's semi-retired. I think he might come back. But with Jon giving up his title and moving up in weight, getting some weight on, he's kind of floating right now, you know. And I think he's going to come back at heavyweight, and people are going to see him take over again. So I apologize. I didn't mean retired. I meant just kind of giving up his title and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really deny Jon Jones's legacy, the fact that he's had so many title defenses, the fact that he's achieved so much in the sport. I mean, in your mind, is there anyone that's even close to that kind of legacy or being able to achieve that kind of, you know, that kind of effect on the sport like Jon Jones?
I don't think so. You know, he's beat a list of champions, a list of the greatest guys. And just so many of them, he has been beat. It's as simple as that. I mean, I know he's got his one loss, but that was disqualification. But and there's others that are undefeated. But with that being said, they haven't defended their title as many times as Jon. They haven't defeated the type of fighter that Jon Jones has. That's why he's at the top of the game.
Why do you think people refuse to so many people refuse to acknowledge it, or so many people like to leave him out of the debate?
You know what? I think that's real common when you're at the top. People want to see you fall, or they don't want to give you credit. They're always looking for the new guy, and it's very tough. It's a tough nut for Jon Jones in that he's been at the top for so long, and everybody wants to argue the point, but you got to beat him. It's as simple as that.
Well, the people who will be looking to beat him hopefully next will be heavyweights. You mentioned it, that heavyweight is sort of the goal for you guys. What is the latest? What is the latest update as far as Jon Jones's heavyweight plans?
You know, Jon just the last conversation I had with Jon was, you know, he's just building some weight, building some size. Then we can get back in the gym and see how that affects his speed and his abilities, and go forward from there. But the plan is definitely moving on up, getting some weight on, and seeing how it goes.
Let me ask you this, from a sort of coach's perspective, strategic perspective, everyone remembers UFC, I believe it was 197 with OSP, and Jon Jones is obviously a lot bigger, but he looked a lot different. I'm wondering, and people thought, you know, maybe he packed on too much muscle. How do you avoid that situation of Jon Jones putting on too much muscle when he returns at heavyweight?
Well, it's about still doing the proper cardio and the muscle in the right places, that type of thing. Jon, I think, has learned from the past, and is getting better every day at understanding his own body, and he's also growing into his own body too. You know, age has a tendency to naturally put weight on people. Not that Jon's ever had a hard time making weight at 205, but I think he's lifting properly. He's getting his core strong, getting his legs strong, and I believe he's doing it the right way.
Getting some cardio and chasing burglars away with a shotgun in hand. We saw the video as well, Mike. Very impressive. And I think that technique was maybe learned from Coach Mike Winkeljohn. I don't think anyone's breaking into your house over there in Albuquerque anytime soon.
Sure, it's not so much because of me. It's because my wife is really good with guns. And, so I have pity for the person that actually gets in my house and threatens my family with my wife around. So.
Well, let's talk about what's happening as well. I mean, Casper mentioned the heavyweight debut, but obviously right now, Israel Adesanya is slated to fight Jan Blachowicz for that light heavyweight title. I mean, What does that mean for you guys? Does that mean you put a pin in your plans to go to heavyweight to possibly go back to 205 in case Israel wins there? Or is it a situation where you just go up to heavyweight and you fight Israel at heavyweight?
You know what? My first thought is at heavyweight, have Israel, come up to heavyweight. Here's the deal: Jon Jones always fought a who's who, and it's always been this guy. You have to go beat this guy to secure your legacy, and then he beats him, and then it's okay. You have to beat this guy to secure your legacy, and then he beats him. Jon doesn't need to chase anybody; they need to chase him. That's why I look at it. That's why he's the best.
Which weight class would you see is more likely being at?
Probably heavyweight. This Jon's current mindset to get up to heavyweight, that makes sense. Once he puts all that mass on, there's no reason to come back down. What's the purpose of that? Go back down to chase? Is he? Absolutely not. Jon's the man. That's why he's the greatest, and people need to chase him. And he's the leader. He's the leader of the sport.
So just to get it straight, I mean, you guys are looking to go to heavyweight, but last time Jon tried to do that, the UFC wouldn't pay the money that, he deserved to fight Francis Ngannou. Have things changed? Is the UFC actually playing ball and giving you guys fights at a heavyweight, or is this still not happening?
That's something I can really tell you about. I'm not involved on the money side with Jon. That's between him and his manager, and of course the UFC and the leaders there. But so I'm not involved in that at all. All I know is when Jon says, "Hey, we're going to fight," and we look at a fighter, that's what we do. Is the team, we start breaking down the plan on the best way to do that, to take care of the fight situation. So let Jon and his managers figure out the rest.
For sure. I mean, from a fight perspective, though, who is the target in the heavyweight division? Are we looking at Stipe, or is it someone else?
Oh, I'm definitely looking at Stipe in my own mind. I think that's a great fight for Jon Jones to take. That motivates Jon. I think Stipe is incredible. I think I really like the guy. I have nothing but great things to say about him as a person over and above just a great fighter. But Jon's got his sights set on the best, and might as well do it.
Just speaking on that fight there, if Jon Jones is able to beat a guy like Stipe for that heavyweight belt, and many people believe Stipe, arguably one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, what does that mean for his legacy, in your opinion?
I think Jon's legacy is already secured, but it definitely that foundation, it's got right iron in it. It's solid. You can't break it. Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. I think that's the pinnacle. He's moved up and taken those guys out after a who's list for so long at light heavyweight.
How do you think a fight with Stipe would go? As given Jon Jones's skill set, his well-roundedness, how do you think something like that would play out?
It's a tough one. I mean, Stipe's a great striker, so strong everywhere, and he's real smart. I saw the way he was controlling some of the other heavyweights on the ground. He's smart about what he does, but I think Jon beats him in every one of those aspects. When Jon puts his mind to it, Jon beats everybody at wrestling. He beats everybody at stand-up. He beats everybody everywhere, and it always ends up being kind of a bloody show when things go right.
I'm curious, Coach. Would Jon come in at a lighter weight if he was fighting a guy like Stipe, and then a heavier weight if he was fighting a guy like Francis? Or are you guys just looking to have a set weight that he's going to be fighting at heavyweight?
I don't think we jump around too much. I think once we find out where his body works out best at the newer weight, where his speed's at, how his reactions are still there, and depending on what aspects of the game we're really focusing on, I don't think it's going to fluctuate that much. I really don't. It might in time if he's fighting over a long period of time, but it's just too hard to go up and down. Everybody thinks you can, but it's really rough on the fighters. It's rough on their bodies as well.
It's interesting because right now it kind of looks like maybe Francis Ngannou has earned himself a rematch with Stipe, but Stipe's already beaten Francis, and we know that he could potentially be retiring very, very soon. How disappointing would it be if Stipe retired before you guys got your chance to take him on in the heavyweight division?
Of course that's disappointing, because that would be, I would assume, a great goal for Jon. But if that's the situation, then on whoever else has the title. It's as simple as that. That's what Jon wants, just to go beat the best that's available out there at the time. Francis, if they were to rematch, I think he's a beast. I mean, that guy, he's got bricks in those hands there, and whatever he hits kind of explodes. Nothing but respect for him, and he's a scary man. There's no doubt about it.
Looking up at the matchups available, Israel Adesanya or Stipe Miocic, who do you believe is the tougher fight? Who do you believe is the tougher challenge?
I couldn't pick a tough one. They're totally different in that they fight it differently, quite a bit. You know, just from different length of the fight, different skill sets, different things they can or can't do. I think there's probably more variety with Izzy than there is with Stipe, but I definitely think Stipe is just a tremendously mentally tough, strong fighter, and that's worth a lot.
Which one sort of gets you more excited?
Whichever one I'm training John for, I wouldn't even know which one it is, so I'm not going to make a commitment to that. You know.
Let me ask you this though, because from a striking, well, it's obviously MMA, and Jon Jones, you know, we know how vicious he is on the ground, but just even from a striking battle, this is a fascinating matchup. How would you see Jon Jones, you know, taking on a guy like Israel Adesanya, which, you know, does seem like they're on a bit of a collision course to happen at some point?
You talking about striking wise? You know, striking wise, here's the deal: John's fought some big, tall, long guys before, and he's done well. You know, the first fight with Gustafsson. You know, wasn't John's great night by any means. Lack of not all Jon Jones was there for many reasons that fight, but he's already fought a lot of long guys. I'm not sure if Izzy's fought a Jon Jones before as far as length goes, and definitely nobody's fought Jon Jones as far as skill set goes. I know everybody that's come in my gym, they're big heavyweights. They come in, and I think they immediately are surprised by how big John's presence is in the cage when they start working out with him.
It's interesting because in the past we've seen John take on a guy like Thiago Santos, for example, coach, and he wanted to beat Thiago in the area that he was best in. You know, he wanted to beat Thiago on the feet. Do you see that as I mean, this feud with Israel is pretty heated. Do you see that as the case going into this fight? Jon Jones looking to beat him in the area that he's best at, which is on the feet?
Maybe, you know, that's John. And John's been known to make up his own mind, but sometimes a little bit on his own and challenge himself. And he always finds a way. There's no doubt about it. So if in John's mind he says, I'm going to beat him on the feet, that's what he's going to do. But if John says, you know what, I want to go home and just secure the win and show him what MMA is all about, welcome to my world, I'm sure he'll take him down and blood him up with elbows.
Mm. I'm wondering, from your perspective, and you've coached some of the best strikers in the world, some of the best fighters in the world, Jon Jones, the list goes on. How do you rate Israel, his striking and his abilities? Are you impressed by what you see in there?
Oh, absolutely. All right. Who could not be? I'm always amazed at some things he does. I'm thinking to myself, gosh, if this guy only did this against him, and then Izzy makes a small correction and solves that problem. So he's a hard guy to figure out in that he has so many skills and such great timing, great speed, and gosh, you know, takedown defense. He's so well rounded and getting better. He's getting better every fight. I'm watching it. I'm real impressed with what they've been able to do down there with the team down there in New Zealand.
There seems to be sort of a moment of almost realization when opponents step in the cage with Israel on fight night. What do you think is sort of the biggest mistake that his past opponents have made with Israel when they've actually fought? Something that obviously Jon Jones would be looking not to make.
Underestimating his ability to adapt. I think you'll see, you know, Kevin Gastelum, in other words, able to swarm him back and throw punches from the side and then catch Izzy. But Izzy's better to defend those things now. So we go back and look at old tape on fighters. You think these are going to be the openings. He's one of those guys that's able to start closing those holes and start expecting you to attack those openings. I think mentally he's come a long ways. I really do. I think people don't give him credit for that. They're always looking for certain tactics, but it's bigger than just the tactic itself. It's just himself understanding the whole game and what's the best thing to do at the moment.
Yeah, the mental aspect is definitely something that can't be understated. Speaking of mental aspects, you don't need to stress out anymore every time you go to shave your balls with that rusty trimmer of yours or rusty blade, you can do it with the Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. It has quiet stroke technology, 7,000 RPM motor, waterproof with an LED light, so there's no chance you'll ever cut your balls, and they will end up smooth as eggshells. And Lawnmower 3.0, you can get it with a sexy 20% off using the code SUBMISSION from your good friends at manscaped.com, who, by the way, also sponsor Max Holloway, Francis Ngannou, and Sugar Sean O'Malley, and the UFC itself. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, Cass. And I think there's a misconception. People just think it's that wonderful ball trimmer, face shaver, but you actually have so many more products at manscaped.com. For example, the Perfect Package 3.0 has the crop preserver, a deodorant for below the belt, and it's anti-chafing and moisturizing. I know myself, I'm always wondering, what do you spray down there on a hot day to make sure that you don't stink out the room? Manscaped has you sorted. That's code word SUBMISSION for 20% off and free shipping.
There you go. While we're giving away cheeky discounts, you can go to PureVPN and surf the web more safe than ever. They have over 2,000 plus servers across 140 plus countries. If you want to stream things like, say, Netflix in different regions, or Amazon Prime, or BBC iPlayer UK, or ITV, and many others, Disney Plus, you can do so all around the world and get all the goods from all those streaming services. You can download things, surf the internet safely, and they are also giving you a fantastic discount, 62% off for their Halloween special, and a further 10% off with the code SUBMISSION. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, Cass. And it's not just that. I mean, it helps you purchase all kinds of online deals for a lesser price by connecting to certain regions, for example, like games on Steam and flight tickets. And you also keeps you secure no matter where you are in public areas with Wi-Fi protection. We've all had those moments where people are trying to send you weird things and steal your data. So make sure that PureVPN is your next choice. That's at purevpn.com/submission. Go there now and save a bundle and make sure you're safe on the internet today. But Mike, I'd love to get your thoughts on this Israel Adesanya and Blachowicz fight. Who do you think is going to win that? And also, if Israel loses that fight, does that mean you guys are done? We don't see a Jon Jones Israel Adesanya because there's not really, the stakes aren't really there anymore?
You're talking like as if it was already a done deal. I'm not sure there is an Izzy and Jon Jones moment. Jon Jones does what he wants to do and goes up to heavyweight. That's where we're at right now. Remember, Jon, I believe in my heart people need to chase Jon. So it's as simple as that. But you know what? That's a tough one. You know, both guys can catch. So I can't call either one of those things. It's I've been real impressed with the champ's ability to fight, and so I think Izzy might have a hard time with that with Juan.
I think that's a really good point you just made, though, about the fact that, we as fans and media, sometimes we get excited about fights that aren't necessarily really there, or aren't really there for possibly a long time. For that fight to even happen or even be considered a thing, what would the scenario have to be for you, for an Israel and Jon Jones fight to actually happen and come together?
Oh, the scenario is, for me, it's just I'm just a coach that trains him. Like I said, I'm not that smart to make those big decisions. They just come to me and say, "Hey, can you help me win this fight?" And the team, and John's got a great team of some really smart guys that I'm just lucky to listen to what they have to say around him, help him win that fight. I think it'll become right. I think Jon goes and gets the heavyweight title, and then if Izzy moves up to heavyweight, then let's go make some money. But I don't know if there's any specific situation that I can even think of right now. Other than right now, Jon's just going to be Jon Jones and do what he's doing as far as the best thing for his career.
Do you think this feud could get a little bit too heated? I mean, we saw what happened with DC. Things got a little bit ugly, and things are getting a little bit ugly already on social media. Is there a point where you sort of speak to Jon Jones, or you see something that you don't like and it kind of turns you off a little bit, or is it just a build up to making more money and a bigger fight, in your opinion?
That's a tough one, right? You always want to come from that place as the older guy, just say, "Hey guys, cool a little bit." But look what Conor McGregor did. He came off as being that guy that has irritated that kind of people, but he made a lot of money doing it. So there's a genius there behind some of the things that are done to sell fights and to sell personality sometimes. So that's probably not my place so much. I think if they want to sell the fight, the rivalry needs to be heated, and that's going to sell more pay-per-views, etc., which makes everybody happy.
I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love it. I love the back and forth between Jon and Israel. I know that, like you said, Coach, it may not even happen, but it's fun while we're sort of seeing certain things play out. With Jon Jones's heavyweight debut, what is the timeline like? I know you said that he's working out and adding some size at the moment. When do you think this could happen?
I have no answers for you on that thing right now. You know what? COVID hit, so things slowed down a little bit. It's harder to train day to day because of the restrictions that we have in place. But Jon's, he's doing so much working out and getting his size and doing individual things. And every once in a while coming in and helping out some of the guys on the team. I have a Devin Clark that's fighting Anthony Smith coming up, and Jon's been great helping him out, getting ready for his fight. And that's what people don't see is Jon will put time and effort into helping others. Which is great for all of us.
I know it's hard to say. I'm trying to gauge sort of like how long it takes to build up the mass necessary. Do you think 2021 is likely, assuming the pandemic sort of goes away?
Oh, I definitely think you'll see Jon in 2020. Yeah, Jeff 2021 for sure.
I'll tell you what, we can't wait to see it, Coach, and we appreciate your time. Of course, as we wrap up, we have to mention that Jackson Winkeljohn, one of the best gyms in the world. And I know things are tough with COVID right now, but when things clear up, it is always an opportunity for people to go over there and train with the great Mike Winkeljohn, one of the best coaches in the game. Coach, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for shedding a little bit light on what's going on. And we can't wait to see what happens next with all the fighters from the gym. Really appreciate your time.
Have me, guys. Stay safe down there.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Bye.